All right, everyone. So I wanted to talk about why some people do decide to hang up the skates, especially after they've been in college and everything, even after high school. Well, I'll tell you one thing of why they would do so after high school. And the reason is because that college or university does not have a club team or they don't have an NCAA team. They don't have anything and it's just that simple. Uh, and they don't have time between classes and stuff and working a part-time job. They also don't have the money for a beer league as well. Um, and now let's say they're at a community college. They get a little more time. They're not necessarily on campus and they don't have to schlep back necessarily to classes for a long way away. Also, you could be in a remote part of a state that has no hockey arenas around it for maybe 40, 50 miles. And think about this. There's a town in Maryland called Frostburg, Maryland. There used to be a hockey rink, and and the College of Frostburg had a club team for a little while. And then the arena went away and so did the team because they were not going to drive like 50 miles away to go play. And no one would do that. And that certainly killed the sport too over at Frostbury. That killed their team rather. So there is that too. Also, there are club fees when you get to college. I think mine were like 1,500, or it's like the price of a couch. I mean, it was a lot too because you have to pay for the sports fees at your school, and you also have to pay the club fees of either the ECHA or whatever club organization you're at. Now, if you are lucky enough to get onto the NCAA on an NCAA team, whether that's D3, D2, or D1, that is, um, you know, that is, you're just lucky at that point. Um, and you're not necessarily playing that there. Now, some of you who do make it to the NCAA will go on to play in the ECHL, or you'll play in the AHL if you're lucky, or and some of you might see the NHL for a hot minute if you're really that good. But most people are not. Now, after college, after you've played um and taken a bunch of hits, you may not want to get back out there. Now, there are no now most leagues are non-checking leagues, non-checking beer leagues, but you also have to, you know, some of you are going to need to be paying off that debt after college, and you don't have time for that. You have to work overtime. You have to take on a second job. You have to sell a bunch of stuff and not necessarily your equipment, but you have to sell, you know, those old antiques that you have to pay off your debt. And when you do, then you can finally go play too. You're also not the same as you were at 20 at 30. You're not the same at 30 as you were at 20. And that also does discourage you. I'll tell you one thing. At the age of 20, I I was much better off at just, you know, I was like ready to go, and and then there were some injuries. My college coach wanted me to be the assistant, and there were just more people, and it was not worth it as well, too. Also, you may have a lot of talent on one club team, and you might have 30, 40 guys. You're not going to make it, and that is a little discouraging to people as well. Um, there is a piece of me that thought about hanging up the skates, and I actually did for a little bit. Certainly, there were like a few years because I wanted to pay off my debt to the college, and then we had Corona, that era. We had that era, and then during 2020, I wanted to get back out on the ice. I didn't, 2021, I got out on the ice one time, and then in 2022, I was back there scoring goals and doing things that I wanted to do on the ice. Now I'm in a beer league. I've paid $410. I'm paying essentially like 37 bucks a game. Uh, Depending on if we go to the playoffs or not, it'll be about 30. And and I can't and also I can't make it out every Saturday night too. I'm gonna be on a business trip one of the days in October and if you're on a business trip and you can't get it back, your priority is work, not hockey. And and you're traveling back and you have to be at a certain place too. And some of these games are on weekdays, some are on Saturdays. And it's late at night too, and you have to pay all the ice fees and stuff. Um, Roller hockey is also a good alternative, and that's why, you don't need a ZAM. It's not as costly. It's just, more of smooth concrete or smooth flooring. It's not too much. You don't need as much pads. I'm not sure if you would need a face. You probably still should use a face shield, regardless. But there's that. Excuse me. The, you know, when it comes to ice hockey specifically, it is the hardest game to play. Yeah, I'll even argue it's harder to play than football. You can be a lineman. It's much easier to be a lineman to be a forward in hockey. Be a lineman in football than it is to be a forward in hockey. I assure you that. Even if you're not the biggest guy there, you are definitely, it is much easier to go play the line in football because you can bulk up, in 3 months, and you're not necessarily, and cardio is not going to be the main focus. In hockey, you have to hit the gym, you have to hit the weights, you have to have a high cardiovascular system. Your cardiovascular functions need to be hyper, you know, up there in performance. You need to be in the best shape of your life. You have to essentially have, the strength of a football player and the speed of a speed skater to do this, and it is incredibly hard. And the goalies are probably, even though the goalies don't skate much, they probably have the hardest job because it's very unnatural to do a butterfly too. And for goalies, they can get injured with their knees. I mean, you're doing a very unnatural mo movement. Now, yes, you stretch and do yoga and all that, but one wrong slide into the pipes or you have a head-on collision, you're gonna get a concussion. And and that's another thing too. There was a teammate of mine who actually wound up in the hospital in one of his last high school games. He was the assistant captain of the high school. And I was about 2 years, 2 grades ahead of him. So I was already in college, but he got a concussion when he scored his final goal, or it was like the same time he scored his final goal in a varsity, and his mother advised him to never play again too. And and I think this sport is the second most for getting concussions. You take the you take the you take the glass, the boards, you take everything, you are susceptible to injury more so than soccer. That's why soccer players don't wear the helmets, the pads, or maybe they have something in the stockings, but the but they're not wearing helmets, pads for the most part. Maybe they'll wear a headband and some goggles, but that's pretty much it. It's not safety equipment there. But this sport is definitely, you're very prone to get injured. It's very expensive to play. And that also is why some people just don't enter the don't enter hockey anyway, and they don't want to play it. You know, even in states like Maine, there are mothers and fathers who don't want their kids playing hockey because they don't want them getting concussions and getting injured, even though the age for checking has now moved up to 12. I think that now when I think that why some people really quit after college is because they don't want to pay it. Part of it is the money, part of it's the injuries, part of it's also having to skate and back check and you have to be great at offense and defense. And most people want to just chill. They would rather play softball. They would rather just chill at home on a Saturday night. And also right now the economy is very tight. It's tight. And $410 for, you get a jersey and maybe you get 11 games out of it. That's still like $37 per game. Um, and, and you also have to have your championship. You have to have different rounds as well. So there's that. I really I do hope the sport grows. Now, I think roller hockey would be a great alternative if you want something cheaper, if you're not sure about taking up the ice. Um, you know, there's no checking in inline hockey. There's no, for the most part, there's not. Now you can get hit, you can get hurt, but you're less likely to face a very significant injury. Yeah, yeah. There are definitely some people that do regret playing hockey. I don't. I think I just regret, um, you know, not uh finding a way to just be better. I mean, I wanted to be better. Maybe I regret not taking up being a goalie at when I could have been a goalie, but I think for the most part, it was one of the greatest things I ever got to do. And I never even and I never would have played college sports had I not played hockey. So there's that. Um, I'm still thinking about hanging up the skates after this beer league season. I'm doing great, by the way. I mean, I'm averaging a point a game, but it's like, do I want to spend another $400 for the following season for maybe 11 games and paying $37 for something that I only get ice time for maybe 10 minutes out of the 13-minute periods? It's tough too. And also it's very frustrating because you are changing on the fly and you can have miscommunications. So there's that. Many people quit this sport because it is the hardest sport. It is the most frustrating sport too, because you have to have the best hand-eye coordination. You have to skate fast and you have to be strong, whether you're checking or not. And you have to be able to get back up quickly. And yes, you can collide with opposing players too. I think that's why basketball and soccer are going to be the more bigger sports in the country pretty soon. So with that being said, take care. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with everyone you know, and I will talk to you later. Peace.